Welcome back to Attitude Effort Results presented by Teamwork Online and the Clubhouse. Today, we're going to look at sport from a different lens. Today is going to have a different twist than what people have seen before. And that's what we are trying to do for you, the listeners. We're trying to give you an opportunity to see the different avenues of sport and the different avenues of business and life in general. Today, we have a Tim Adcox on here with us, and I am so excited to bring him on to share a different lens. He has a unique background where he is using sport as a connection point for the church. And you guys know my background as a faith-driven individual. I'll never push that on anybody, but we're definitely going to dive into some of that today. So, Tim,
Yeah.
welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Tonic. Good to be here. Cannot wait to get into this topic. Hopefully, it'll be a benefit to some of your listeners.
And if we can impact one life today, we win, right? And
Yeah,
that's
for
our
sure.
job, that's our goal. And if we can do that, which I think we will with what we're going to cover today, tell me a little bit about you've worked in organized leagues as training coaches, and in particular the spiritual and character development of athletes, which is
Right.
super intriguing to me. And I want to dive into that right away. Tell us what
Sure.
that experience was like in your career so far.
Yeah, sure. So I was a minister in the church and connected to sports as the primary function of what I did, though that changed over my time several times along the way. But there was one church in particular, I'll just give you that as an example. It's a church here in Atlanta, Smoke Rise Baptist. I served there for 25 years, and we ran community-based sports programs for the church, for the community that was around us. And we had it all the way from 5 years old up to men's leagues, and we had it in multiple different sports, and it became a real connection point for the church, for the community. And
Mm.
so people were able to come and participate in sports and get maybe a little different sense, a little different flavor, mostly a little different culture because it was offered from the church. So my job was really to help train the coaches and work with the parents and work with the players and help them develop a healthy attitude in the sports world, and particularly focusing on developing their character and their spiritual walk through their sport experience.
As we talk about sport as a connection point, as a community, sport is a community. That's what drives us. That's why people are so engaged with sport consistently. And honestly, why most people are listening is because they are in some way, shape, or form connected to sport. You were doing that at a young age. What were some of the challenges from the jump that you've seen in terms of young athletes or young individuals walking through a different spiritual or developmental portion of their life?
Yeah, so I told Tanner the only thing that is interesting about my personal sport experience is in high school I played with Tony Dungy on a football team. Now, I know that's crazy. That dates me, and so Tony and I are about the same age.
So
So
when you were playing with Tony, you beat him out when you were in high school, right?
yeah, oh, easy. Yeah, yeah. Tony, so I was a senior and he was a freshman, but yet he was our starting quarterback. And it was a really interesting time. It was in my city, Jackson, Michigan. So there's a great trivia pursuit question for your people there. So, what high school did Tony Jundich play football at? You have any idea?
No,
So
I
it's
couldn't even guess.
yeah. Well, it's a good thing because it doesn't even exist anymore. The name of the school was Parkside High School. The name of the team was the Eagles, and so Tony was on our team as our quarterback. And because of the time and the community that we were in Jackson, Michigan, there was a lot of racial tension at the time.
Mm.
And so it was really a fascinating time, challenging time. And so our coach, Dave Driscoll, if you want to really put that in the trivia pursuit side, he was the one that helped set up, I think, a really smart move. He had two different captains of the team, one African American and one a white guy. And so there was a way that they could work together. And there was all this sense on the team that we are a team. We are not two different races on a team. And so Tony was part of that. If you know anything about his background, he comes from a faith background. And so he was able to broker that with his leadership among our team. So I thought that was really a brilliant move by our coach to put that together.
Wow, especially we don't know right now if you're young and listening to this, and myself, I'll plead ignorance. We don't know what that
Yeah.
was like back then. We still see it
Yeah.
a little bit today, and but it's a lot less pertinent today than
Yeah.
what it was. And so, what an opportunity to learn what leadership is like from that perspective. Tony Dungy, obviously one of the best leaders that we've seen across the country, especially in the sport industry.
Yeah.
But what an opportunity for you, Tim, to see that leadership early on in your life. And then you go on to help kids similar ages learn leadership styles. So that makes sense on how your career path has seen you've seen some of the best do it, and you are now on that list as well.
Yeah, so I'm trying to help give back some of the things that I've experienced. But one of the things that we should talk about is everybody that is in sport feels like there's character development just because of general participation.
Hmm.
But then one of the things that I want Heart of a Champion and what I did in my career is to take that experience. Because look, if you're an athlete, you love your sport. That's why you do it. And often you even let that define who you are, which I think is unhealthy, to be defined as what you do rather than who you are. But this gives you an opportunity into somebody's heart, a pathway there because that's what they really care about. And if we can take those sport experiences and drive them deeper by being very intentional about it, because when I talk to coaches, if you ask a coach, "Hey, do you do character development with your players through your sport?" Everybody be like, "Yeah." Everybody says, "Yeah," but what are you doing intentionally to do that? And what are you doing? And then as you see many of these coaches, and I see them all the time, I saw them in the church leagues too, exhibiting these terrible behavior patterns that are really teaching these kids the wrong thing and telling them that winning is more important than who that kid is and the lessons you could teach him. So I think those are really valuable lessons that could be taught both in a positive and to watch out for the negative.
What does that look like when you talk about defining who you are? Is very important. That
Yeah.
goes deeper than transparently most of the athletes that I've been around my entire life, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody is thinking they are an athlete. I am an athlete.
Yeah,
I am a quarterback. I
yeah,
am a point guard. I am an outside
yeah,
hitter in volleyball.
yeah,
But who you are goes deeper, and does
much
the
deeper.
sport define who you are? Probably not. So how do
Yeah,
you work through that? If you're sitting across the table from somebody, how do you work through that? Because that goes deeper than just sport. That goes into
yeah,
individual life and business as well.
that's right, exactly. And so again, that is what you do. That is a skill that God has given you, and that's great. But from our faith perspective, we say it's because God has made you as a unique individual and he cares about you as an individual, not because of what you can do. And often you'll see that in the coaches and it'll be subtle and you'll even see it in the parents. Hey, I love you more if you had a great game and you scored a lot of points. Well, no, that's just what they do. Your love should be a base foundation for that individual, regardless of their performance. And as a matter of fact, you need more help for them at the time when they fail. And one of the lessons I really try and work with the athletes on is that winning is not the most important thing, but it is who you are and your performance that's going to help you learn more. And often when you fail is when you learn the most.
I think you probably just triggered some people,
Okay.
which is okay. I actually enjoy
Yeah.
doing that a lot. I say things I
Yeah.
to people all the time.
Yeah.
I think you did it in a good way because people are looking back and they're reflecting right now on, man, I think he's right. My parents probably did show me more love, whether that was consciously or unconscious.
Right. Yeah.
We probably have all experienced that in some way, or your manager coming over and congratulating you on a project that you did. And then when you don't complete the project or your sales numbers are down for the month, they're not at your desk, right?
Yeah.
And so I think everybody has experienced that. How do you start working through that?
Yeah. So if you think about who I am as a core person, and that from my perspective, a faith perspective, God loves me no matter what. And it is Christ's sacrifice that allows me to mess up as much as possible, not on purpose, but when I mess up, I know that I can be forgiven. So my base knowledge of who I am is my relationship with God and my connection to Him. And because of that, that's secure. So the way that you work through it is to drive backwards down to that base to know that you are loved no matter what by the creator of the universe.
Wow. I told you guys it was gonna be good and it was gonna be from a different lens today, and that is exactly what we are doing. We are diving deep right off the bat here. I'm curious, as you're working with athletes, because most of the athletes right now become the business people that we see in this world, whether that's in the
Mhm.
sporting industry or not, right? A lot of people out there and a lot of jobs and opportunities are actually looking for athletes because of the competitive nature, because of the team camaraderie, because of the discipline that they've had to have throughout their entire athletic career that transfers very well into the business world. What are some of the traits that you see from athletes where they get it, where it starts clicking and you can start seeing people, you're like, this guy, this girl right here, that's one that's gonna be a star one day.
Yeah, we work from a base of the character development component so that the character development, I feel, makes you a better athlete. And there was a study I think that's really fascinating on college athletes. Do you think that the college athlete has a better character than just the general population? Which do you think has better character?
Yeah, you would think the athlete, right?
No. The study found that, for whatever reason, it didn't really try and define the reason, but that they had worse character, lower character values than the general population. And you can speculate why that would be. Maybe they feel like they're treated special all the time, or they get away with things, or whatever. But if we start from a base of character traits that we're working through and trying to develop that, and some of those are leadership and teamwork and so forth, the things that you're talking about with Tony Dungy, well, those make you a better athlete. But here's what's most important, Tanner, is to take it from being an athlete because everybody's going to not be an athlete someday. And it's going to be for whatever reason. One of them can be character failure. One of them can be an injury. One of them can be getting too old. I
Mm.
mean, those are the main ones right there. So, if you build this character and you use the sport experience as the teaching platform, then the character breeds the better athlete rather than in reverse. I'm not saying there's no value in it. It's the things you just said. It does create discipline and so forth, teamwork, etc. But if you use it intentionally, then you have an opportunity to make better transference into life. And that's why these business people are looking for the people that are able to make the transfer.
You're talking about using sport as a platform, which is such an intriguing, it's a platform for your character development. It is not the end all be all. It is a platform, and
Right.
right
Yeah.
there, it's so important for everybody out there listening, whether you're in high school sports, college sports, whether you're not in sports anymore and you're looking to grow, use that as a platform to develop yourself. This is
Yeah.
a long game that we are playing, and this
That's
game is
right.
called life.
Yeah.
And we don't know when it ends, right? It's a
Yeah.
long game and we don't know when it ends. What sports,
Yeah.
like if that was a sport, if that was a game right now and you created a new sport and it was like, well, this game is like 14 or 15, years long, but we don't really
Right.
know when the end is. And people
Right.
would hate
Yeah.
the sport. They would hate it.
Yeah.
They would get bored.
Yeah.
They would not like it.
All right.
Well, we see, that's what I see sometimes in business development as well.
Yeah.
The game is so long because they're looking at such short-term goals that
Yeah.
they get bored, they get lazy, they get undisciplined. But you're saying right now, use that as a platform for your character development because now as character development, now you can start playing the game as a long term and continuously grow and get better. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, you're hearing it just right. And it works at the other end too. So think about the people that are out of sport. And when they come out of sport, maybe because they define themselves by what they do instead of who they are, then they have a tragic life after that because they didn't know how to not be that person that they were. They're receiving all the accolades, etc. They did not really build their character. They just worked on what they did in their skill.
Well, now you get the guys and girls now you get the guys and girls that are sitting at the local bar at 45 years old going,
Yeah.
"Man, high school team, they can't get it done like we used to get it done."
Yeah. It's always the older I get, the better I was. So,
Like, man, they don't and these kids are running sprints, but they didn't get run like we used to. Like,
yeah,
they're not
that's
as
right.
conditioned as we are.
That's right. And hopefully, as we've seen, the culture of coaching has changed too. All that, run until you puke and all that kind of stuff is getting a little less of the style.
Mm.
But as I see all the time in working with coaches, you almost always will repeat the pattern of coaching that you received. So it's hard to change the culture to a more positive, character focused, etc. When that's what you received before. It's just work hard and shut up and listen because I'm it's just not that style. It's going to not work very well anymore.
I see that in parenting as well.
Yeah,
Even with a lot of kids that we coach, some of the mindsets could be from professors as well. I've,
yeah,
in our coaching platform, one of the things I say all the time is don't submit your resume. Like go find connections and do that.
yeah,
And kids come out of school and they go, well, the only thing I've ever been told is just submit my resume and my resume needs to be the end all be all.
yeah,
That is a direct correlation to what you're saying right now as
yeah,
well. Some of the people listening are parents, some want to be parents one day. How do you break that mold? I'm asking personally, how do you break that
yeah.
mold? I love how I grew up. I want to emulate some of the things my parents did, but also there's some things that I want to implement as well. How do you break that?
Yeah, well, there's 2 ways to look at it. My parents, what did they do right, and what did they do wrong? And be honest about that and find out ways to get past those things that you feel like they did wrong or things that hurt you. That's gonna be a clear indicator that, something was going on that really wasn't too healthy if it hurts you, and then you can see what that pattern was that created that for you, and then hopefully you can go 180 degrees away from that. So you're learning no matter how bad. This is one thing I'd want to say to people that are working on being parents. No matter how bad your parents were, you can break the mold. You can break that generational pattern of maybe it's abuse. I don't know how bad it was, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that has that, and you can be the one to break that. And what a great benefit for you and for your children. But then beyond that, for generations, you've broken that pattern.
We started this by saying we just want to change one life. You just did.
Sweet.
You
I
just
hope
did.
so.
For sure.
Yeah.
That just changed somebody's life. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that. Okay,
Absolutely.
tell me as we get into your side of the sport, your side of the industry,
Yeah.
tell me how you got into this and how
Sure.
one would break into this side
Yep.
um, of the industry.
Yeah, let me take that in a couple different pieces here. So just help me keep on track. Initially, so let's talk about this word calling. I mean, calling is something that people that are in ministry often use. I'm in ministry at a church because God called me to do that. Was that different than the calling that Tanner has to be where he is? Maybe. I'm not saying I can judge that, but I'll just say that I felt a sense of calling when I was like maybe in junior high to say, God wants me to be working in the church. And what did that mean and how did that work? I didn't really know in the environment where I was. But as I went through that, and as you see, I've been very interested in sport, participated in sport all during high school. And as I was trying to define that career path, I was like, okay, the people I see in the church that I think are cool are the youth pastors. So, okay, I want to be that. But I had no idea there was something that would involve sport. So this is a little bit of a geographical thing. So you people in Michigan, I was in a small independent Baptist churches was where I was raised. And so I'd never even heard of somebody that could possibly be a recreation minister in a church. And when I moved to Texas, I was like, who are these guys? And I got to know some of them. I went around and interviewed about 10 of them there in the Dallas area, which is one of the few towns, I guess, that has a bunch of people like that. And I said, you guys have now become the coolest people because now you can use sport to touch people's lives. And so I'm like, these are my people. And so I really felt a sense of, finding my place and doing that. But now let's go backwards. So how does that actually happen when you start working toward it to get into that professionally? Well, I mean, to be at a church that has a sports ministry, it's not that many of them around, but they do
Right.
exist. And some of them are massive, and some were just kind of medium sized, like the church I worked in. But you have an opportunity to become part of the ministerial staff. So there's additional responsibilities usually that are given to you, but we were charged with setting up all these leagues and so forth for the community to use it as that connection point. So that involved going to college and majoring in Bible, but going to seminary and getting a seminary degree and getting ordained so that you can be a full-fledged minister, at least from my background in the Baptist church. That's kind of how it worked. Um,
What a cool opportunity to
yeah,
understand that that exists. I didn't know
yeah,
before I met you, I didn't know that
yeah,
that existed, right? And so
yeah,
one of the cool pieces about what we do and what we have an opportunity to do in the sport industry, this business of sport is still a baby
yeah,
compared to a lot of other industries. And
yeah,
one of the passions that I have, one of the reasons I'm doing this is because I want people to understand the different avenues that you can get into, the different opportunities that you don't have to go sit behind a desk. Now, I work in sport and sit behind a desk a lot of the day, but you don't have to go and sit behind a
all right,
desk and crunch numbers and not enjoy your life. This
yeah,
world sport industry is so exhilarating and there's so much opportunity for you to impact people's lives and you're doing that in a place where I would say probably 95% of people listening had no idea that there was a
yeah.
ministry side to sport or a sport side to a church's ministry, which is so
Yeah.
intriguing.
Yeah, and there's a couple different layers to that. Now, the path that I went through was in the church itself, but then you also have people that are in a very similar kind of role in Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Athletes in Action, those kind of things that maybe your constituents have heard more about. That's a little different kind of work, but very similar. They work more with the either at FCA, mostly at the high school level and working with teams, but then Athletes in Action, they work more with the individual athletes. And so here's another crazy sidebar, and I don't know if I have any time to go into this, but I'm
Hey,
planning
we got
on.
all the time in the world. You and me get to decide when we're done. So
Okay, okay. Well, when I go to Milan, Italy for the Winter Olympics, that will be the 11th time I've gone to the Olympics.
wow.
And I started in Atlanta in 96. So, but part of the reason I tell you that is because it connects with Athletes in Action. Athletes in Action will always have a group every time I go there that will be trying to work with athletes that they have relationship with, that they're trying to disciple or mentor in their spiritual walk. And they will be at the Olympics to be with their athlete when they compete. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you want to if you're out there listening right now and you want to have some cool experiences in life, you want to have the opportunity to go to the Olympics, which for me
Yeah.
growing up transparently, any of these major sporting events, Olympics obviously being one of them, that
Yeah.
was a Disneyland type of experience. I didn't understand that you could actually go to one of those. I didn't understand
Yeah.
what that looked like.
Yeah.
And part of sport is the opportunity to experience some of that on the working side.
Yeah.
Super Bowls. I've been a part of Formula One. I've been a part of World Series, X Games, a lot of really cool sporting events, and you get to be involved in that. And yeah, you get to experience it, but you're also creating experiences for other people at those events. And so
Yeah.
a really unique opportunity for you to go to a couple Olympics, it sounds like, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's just what you just said. So, what do we do when we're at the Olympics? We become sort of semi-professional pin traders. So, we trade pins at the Olympics, and I work with the athletes in action and teach them about the whole pin trading experience. So, if you've ever been to Disney, you will have experienced pin trading in a different environment, but it's very similar to that, where anybody that you see wearing a pin at the Olympics, you can walk up to them and say, "Hey, Tanner, let's trade pins."
Tell me more about that. That's very intriguing.
So
I know about it, and I'm sure
yeah.
most listening do, but not as in depth as a professional pin
Well,
trader.
yeah. So so since we've been so many times, we are connected up usually as volunteers, but we do get special passes and special treatment and swag and so forth. But we get to work with Coca-Cola, who's the biggest pin trading company at the Olympics because they're an international sponsor. And so we go there on behalf of Coca-Cola to teach people how to trade pins. And so I'll just give you one pin trading experience. So here's how it goes. I'll be set up with, 100 pins on my table. You're going to come over with your first pins. You've been to the Olympics, but you don't know what pin trading is about. You're going to come to me and say, "Hey, what is this all about?" I'll explain it to you. And I'll say, "Look, Tanner, have you got any pins that you can trade?" You'll be like, "No." So, okay, go see the guy over there at Coke. He's going to sell you a couple of pins and then come back and then we're going to trade and I'm going to teach you all about it. And then you're going to be able to go out into the streets and you're going to look for the athletes because they're going to have a special kind of tag that they wear. And I'm going to tell you what that is. And when you see them, you go up and trade pins with them because they're going to be the most valuable pin there.
Wow. See, I kinda wanna go so the Olympics come to the United States here pretty soon. Should we you
Yeah.
got a ticket that we can get out to LA? I can learn how to
Well,
become a professional. You think
yeah.
Coca-Cola will hire
A
me?
absolutely. You hang with me, and we'll get you in. We'll supply you with pins. We'll get you set up. We'll teach you how to be a pin ambassador, is their word, and we'll get you out to LA, and you and me and Snoop will hang out.
Hey, I think if us 3 got in a room, there'd be I don't know what character would take over more. I
Yeah.
I like talking. You're an intelligent man, but I think Snoop might take the cake. I don't
He
know.
might. He might, but we'll have to see how much he smoked before we get him over there.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So, anyway, so yeah, look forward to that coming up in Italy, and then really look forward to it in LA. That'll be an amazing experience there. But yeah, so it just shows how any connection with sport is a way to make connections with people. And we're just at that sporting experience using the pin as a medium to develop relationships with people. And that's what we tell people is the big difference between a pin collector and a pin trader. The pin collector is interested in the pin. The pin trader is interested in the person trading the pin.
Wow. I had lunch today with a guy who has been in Charlotte since I think 98, he said. We didn't talk about anything today except for connecting me with other people in the area because I'm newer here.
Yeah,
That was the only we had lunch for an hour today,
yeah,
and only thing we talked about is relationships and connecting, and every
yeah.
time a sentence came out of my mouth, he was like, "I got a guy, I got a girl, I got connected here," and we spent the last 15 minutes, both of us, just sending texts and emails to people connecting them, like, that was all we did,
Nice.
and
Yeah,
so
nice.
you talk about relationships in sport, and that is
Yeah,
one of the biggest, if not the biggest
yeah,
opportunities in this industry is everybody enjoys connecting with each other too.
yeah,
Because although if I'm working with Deloitte, my competition is EY, right?
yeah.
Everywhere in the country, that's my competition. Doesn't matter
Hmm.
where I'm located, that's my competition.
Yeah,
Well, if I'm working for the Panthers, my competition could be the 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 New England Patriots.
yeah.
But they're not actually my competition because
No.
they're in a completely different location. So we are
Right.
happy to help each other out. We have
Yeah,
conferences every year that everybody, ALSD, everybody gets together.
yeah.
And so everybody under the same league is not competing. We are open to helping each other. And I think that's what separates this industry from others is the willingness to open up, the willingness to help, the willingness to connect. I mean, what did it take? A 3-minute conversation at the conference we met at
Yeah,
for us to be
right.
like, yep, let's go help some people, right? And that's what
Yeah,
we're doing here today. So,
yeah.
what have you seen as the biggest driving factor in your career? If somebody's looking to get into your career, like what's the biggest thing that you would tell them?
How would they get in, or just kind of what would take them? They need to feel a sense that I can take what I love, which is sport. This is how I got into it. What I love is sport, and how can I make that a tool for ministry and
Mm,
helping people? And how can that happen through the church? Or it doesn't have to be through the church. Sport is a common denominator in the world. I mean, you can be out in a park out here in Marietta, Georgia, and be throwing the frisbee or football around, and you'll establish a relationship because of the sport. Well, if you establish the relationship, that's how you can care for people is through the relationship. So I'd say looking for that connection point in your heart first to see how that fleshes out as actual career path.
as you get into that career path, what are some of the things that people should look for where they know it's clicked? So I talk to myself, I'm like, yep, this is where I want to go. I start getting into it, I start figuring out what I enjoy, what I don't, and it clicks. What are some of those soft skills or some of the
Yeah,
moments that would happen if this clicks? Because this is a very unique path
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
and something
So
has to.
well, you gotta feel it first. I mean, and I can't describe it any other way than a feeling. You're interested in it, you wanna know more about it, and then you go start researching it, and as you start digging into it, you begin to feel the energy of, "Man, that sounds really cool. I wanna know more about that." And the more you dig into it, the more you feel that path. But then there's the very practical side of it that you got to connect up with people, like you just said, to be able to get to where you want to go. I'll give you one quick story. So I was a youth minister in my first very assignment in Durant, Oklahoma. This is a very small town. I got another quick trivia pursuit for you. What school did Dennis Rodman play basketball at in college?
I'm gonna go with Durant.
Well, yeah, it's in Durant, but it's Southeastern State Oklahoma University, and he lived with some dairy farmers. There's a movie all about it. He lived with dairy farmers that worked in that area while he went to school. Um,
Dennis Rodman lived with dairy farmers.
that's right. Yeah, see the movie and see. Maybe it's not true, but it's in the movie. So,
Man, I grew up on a dairy farm, so I'm picturing what my parents and what that lifestyle would be like with Dennis Rodman living at their house.
yeah, I, I think he had a little different persona at that time, and he just developed that later on. But the point is that I was in this little small town, and how do you get from A to B? It's through relationships. So I'll just give you the punchline already. It's through relationships. It was through relationships I had with people when I did that initial research when I was really like a freshman in college. And some guys that I met and talked to eventually been the were the people that recommended me to the next place that I was going, moving from Durant, Oklahoma to Atlanta, Georgia, to a church that actually had sports ministry as its primary function. And so again, I can't say any more strongly about relationships. That's the path to get where God really wants you. I mean, in my life, that's where it is.
We have a an Attitude Effort Results Sales Academy that's coming out
Yeah.
here pretty quickly, actually, after this episode releases. And one of the things we're going to be doing is bringing in sport leaders from around the country
Mhm.
that are going to be heavily recruiting our people. And
Yeah.
so we're bringing managers to these individuals, to these kids to get into the job market, which is obviously valuable. And I'm very excited to go do that. I do say, however, some of the best connections are not for your first job.
Yeah.
Some of the best connections you make, you're going to be able to pull out of your back pocket when you need it the most, or when you don't need it and they might contact you, and it's going to
Hmm.
be for your second or third job. And so, as we are coaching people to get into the industry, and we are almost at the end of semester one here in the universities, in colleges, we have an opportunity to help kids get into the industry partly by how can we connect you with other people? And
Mhm.
so the relationship aspect in this industry, again, you said it, but I cannot speak to it enough. That is something that not only for your first job, but down the road, you got to connect up, you got to connect down, and you got to connect sideways because the people that you're sideways with right now, whether you're in school or professional career, the people that you're with sideways, hopefully, if you're around the right people, they are also
Moving up.
growing, and so all boats rise with the tide, and that's
Yeah.
why connecting up, down, and sideways is important.
Yeah. There are schools that offer this degree path now. Oklahoma Baptist, I know, does. There's seminary work in this and all that. That didn't exist when I was going through.
Wow.
So there will be some opportunity for people at this stage to get a little bit more defined training, I would say, and to be more connected with that path from the very beginning because of those schools existing with those degree plans now.
Wow. You have a lot of knowledge and you have a wealth of experience as well. Getting into the sport industry or just life in general as we look to get into our career paths, what are some pieces of advice that you would have for everybody listening now as we look to enter or grow in our
Yeah.
careers?
Yeah. So any of the stuff that you're getting with stuff like Tanner's rolling out here is very valuable. But again, I feel like we're a broken record. The relationships that you develop on a mentoring side and specifically enlisting people to mentor you through your process. I mean, you got to be genuine with these people and you got to follow through with them because I'm not going to want to waste my time mentoring you if I see that you're not doing what we talked about or you're not interested in self improvement and self discipline. But if you can get some people to be your mentors and your guides that are a few notches ahead of you, and even if not, somebody at the same level, mentoring and accountability is huge. You know, if you can set some goals with each other and try and keep each other accountable. I mean, when we were working out in high school, I had a training partner and, you know, there's a lot of days I didn't want to go do those extra laps, but I would go because we were together.
I have an accountability partner as well, and part of that accountability partner I have in my finances
Mm,
and I have in my journaling. So journaling is
yeah,
really important to me.
yeah,
Writing down some of I have a gratitude journal. I have a
yeah,
journal that I write down daily and short term goals, and so I can reshape my mind every single morning to focus on my goals and aspirations. And I send that in a group chat with people every single morning. It's a shared album that we have and they hold me accountable for that. So I love that you mentioned that. It was a
yeah,
piece of advice that I had gotten a while ago. And
yeah.
honestly, I pay somebody. I actually bribe my friends to go do it. I said, hey, if I don't do this, I will pay you. You don't need to do anything for me. You need to do nothing. But if I miss this, I now owe you. I think it was like $10 a week when we started. Now I don't miss anymore. But the first couple
Nice.
of times that I missed, I paid the guy. Um,
Nice.
and so that held me very accountable. But the
Yeah,
mentorship and the accountability piece is so
yeah.
important.
Yeah, no, it really is. And another facet of what I do is life coaching with people. And, you know, that is people that you pay to say, these are my goals, hold me accountable, get a path forward. And they talk to you about that. The more you can invest in yourself on education, mentoring, accountability, the better person you're going to be down the
Mm.
road. I mean, you just cannot see the value is just exponential if you do those things.
One of the pieces that I see a lot too in coaching, I actually just talked to a coaching client about this. He has an hour drive to work every single morning, and he is filling that time with podcasts and books.
Mm,
Most people aren't doing that. And if
mm.
you can pour into yourself, which is what Tim just said, pour
Yeah,
into yourself, you might not see the results tomorrow. You might not see the results at the end of the year. But 4, 5, 6, 10 years down the road, you're going to look back and go, I don't even know who that person was
yeah.
because you are continually getting better. Tim, as a life coach, what are some of the areas that you've seen the most dramatic improvements that people have worked on?
Well, if people begin the process with true transparency, that's usually the biggest hurdle from the beginning. And once you take down the walls and say, this is where I'm really at, these are my pain points, then it gives us as a life coach a chance to really, I mean, we're not a counselor, so we're not trying to fix you, but we're going to talk to you about, okay, if those are the real issues, let's together come up with a plan and figure out, and then I am going to hold you accountable to that plan. And some of it's going to be painful because just being transparent enough to find those pain points is going to be the hardest work you have.
And it's going to be painful with yourself
Yeah,
sometimes.
it is. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be painful just to reveal the issue, and then it's going to be painful to change the process to fix it. But you've got to come up with a plan.
Nobody's coming to save you.
Yeah. Well, I'm there to walk with you, but it's your problem.
I love that.
Yeah.
As we wrap things up here today,
Yeah.
Tim, one, I cannot thank you enough for being here today. The conversation has gone all over, and that is what is exciting. We have laughed, we have almost cried, we have talked very deeply. As we look to wrap it up, I like asking one question. What does attitude, effort, results mean to you in your career path so far?
The attitude that you have about yourself and who you are is the most important because if you're allowing yourself to be transparent with yourself, then you can be transparent with other people. And people sense that. And so then it's just what we just talked about. Then you can put in the effort to find those things that need to be worked on. And then that will produce the result. But if it's like we said earlier, and you focus just on the win, then you don't get the process that gets you to the win. You're going to learn more when you lose and fail than you are when you win.
I love it. Fail fast, fail often, but always fail forward
Yeah.
because you're going to keep learning and growing. Last
Yeah.
one for you. You're
Yeah.
sitting on my side of the table. What have I missed today that would be impactful for our audience? How else can we impact people here today?
Well, just know that I'm available to talk to anybody from your group that is interested in this because I suspect I might be the only person that you've ever had with this topic. And so, if anybody would be interested in more information about what it is, I mean, my life is committed to helping other people. So, if there's someone that needs that help, please reach out to me.
What's the best way for them to reach out?
Uh, what do? You put up my phone number, you put up heartofachampionsports.com. You got the way to technology to push it out there. I'm happy to do that.
Deal. Let's do that. We'll have our team post that. We'll also put it in the show notes. So if you're on
Yeah,
Spotify or Apple Podcast or YouTube today, we'll put it in the show notes.
yeah,
Tim's contact information. Tim, thank you so much for being here today with us.
yeah, man. Yeah, it was a great joy to be with you guys, and please reach out to me.
Attitude, effort, results. Let's inspire others and continue to grow together.